everybody, welcome back to Toni's Tack Tips, a channel for the what, how, and why of horsemanship. Today we're going to be talking about how to do standing wraps. Okay, so standing wraps are the most common type of bandage. They're also called stable bandages, and they're one of the most important bandages to know how to do and know how to do well. What are standing wraps? So standing wraps are consisted of two parts. There's the under wrap, or the pillow, or the quilt, and the over wrap, or the track wrap, or the flannel. So the under wrap sits right against the horse's leg, and the over wrap, or track wrap, goes over it to hold it on the horse and apply some pressure. But stable bandages are used mainly to reduce and prevent inflammation and swelling in the legs, especially after a heavy workout, after strenuous jumping, or if a horse is injured and you're trying to keep down swelling. Keeping legs in stable bandages will really help. They're also used for shipping to help prevent horses knocking themselves during transport, or in really cold climates, they can also just be used for warmth. Your under wrap can look like this, a no-bow, or they can be quilts or pillow wraps, which are quilted on both sides. And your over wrap is going to be like a polo wrap, but they're bigger and they're more stretchy, and they're also a lot longer to actually hold the over wrap on. So the really important thing about standing wraps is that the pressure is even throughout on both the under wrap and the over wrap. So that means there's no wrinkles, there's no seams, everything is just smooth and lying flat against the horse. And the reason is that while wrapping can be really beneficial, if done incorrectly, it can actually cause a lot of damage to the horse's legs. So the most common injury from wrapping incorrectly is called a bowed tendon. And that's basically where one part of the wrap was either too tight or too loose, which causes fluid buildup in the leg and overstretches the tendon. So on a bowed tendon, you can really clearly see the part of it where the wrap was too tight, and then the rest of it will bow outward. That said, when you're first learning to wrap, make sure that one, you're supervised, and two, you have someone checking your wraps every couple times until they're confident that you can consistently put on a wrap flat, with no wrinkles, and at an even pressure. So there are a whole bunch of ways that you can standing wrap. Some people like to wrap the under wrap in the over wrap like this, and put it right on the horse's leg. I personally don't like to do that. I find that it gets the under wrap kind of uneven and stretched in weird ways. So instead, what I like to do is I have my no-bow, and I just roll it up tightly, making sure that the part on the outside is the part that I want against the horse's leg. So the best position to do standing wraps in is a squat. However, I have pretty bad knees and I can't squat for a long time. So I do my polos and my standing wraps bent over like this. This is not the safest way to do it, especially if you're wrapping back legs, because their foot can come up and get you in the face really easily. This is just the way that I learned it, and it's safer for me. So if you're learning to wrap, do your best to learn in a squat. But if you can't squat, you have bad knees, whatever, this is your second best option. So just like your polo wraps, your standing wraps go on towards the horse's tail. For your no-bow, which you put on first, I like to unroll just a little bit and wrap it all the way around the horse's leg. So I anchor this part just about in the middle, fold this over, pull it tight going towards the tail, wrap it, and then keep going. And just like with polo wraps, you never want to pull tight on the inside of the leg, only the outside of the leg. Pulling tight on the inside means you can pull the tendons around or just mess things up. And you want your leg to be as pristine as possible when you're putting on the wrap, to make sure that nothing gets anchored in the wrong place overnight. That said, you also want to make sure your horse is standing with their full weight on the leg that you're wrapping. If their leg is out in front of them because they're grazing or they've got one back foot rested, make sure that you just kind of nudge them over so that they have their full weight on the leg. That'll put their tendons in the correct place. So once you have your no-bow on, this is the kind of tricky part. So you're going to unroll a couple inches or so from your track wrap and put that just on the edge where your hand was. I like to have this hand here to anchor it, and then I carefully wrap around, keeping the pressure the same, and then keep going, pulling a little bit tight here to anchor the edge of this wrap. So the other thing you can do is, instead of keeping this wrap on the outside, and this is my preferred way to do it, is when you bring this full wrap around, instead of anchoring it here, you can really carefully slide this under the edge of the no-bow and then re-roll, so it just goes over the top like this instead of creating a little air bubble here. I like to do it this way because I find that it just makes the wrap lie smoother and there's less chance for wrinkles, bowed tendons, etc. So once we do that, we're going to start going down the leg. Every time you're going to want to make sure you go down about the same length of the wrap. So you're going to pull tight, going towards the tail, wrap around, making sure there's no wrinkles, and then pull tight again. And you want to go down, depending on how long your wrap is and how big your horse's leg is, you want to go down anywhere from ½ an inch to a full inch, maybe even an inch and a half. The most important thing is that every single one is even. That way you have even pressure on the legs. And then once you get to the bottom, it should wrap just around the bottom of the fetlock. It shouldn't curve underneath like that. That's a puller wrap thing, not a standing wrap thing. You want to go down a little straight, just like that. You're going to pull it tight one more time, and then start going back up. And to start going back up, it's the exact same thing as going down. You just angle your wrap a little upwards like this, and make sure that you're extra careful that there's no wrinkles. Changing direction of your wrap is the most common place that you get wrinkles, so you want to be really vigilant to make sure that you're keeping this at a nice even tension and checking with your hand so that there are no wrinkles. And then exact same thing, you're going to go right back up the leg. If you want, you can make these faces a little bit bigger. It'll depend on how much wrap you have left. And you want to make sure that you keep the pressure even. I know I've said that a million times, but it's true. So then, as you get to the top, you're going to finish your wrap. The really important thing here is that you don't yank the Velcro around in order to anchor the wrap. This is a really common place to tie it too tight, and that leads to bowed tendons real fast. So at the top, go around like it's just another time around the wrap, making sure there are no wrinkles, and then carefully anchor the Velcro there. But don't just end there. Make sure that you check the wrap and that it has the correct tightness, or else you should take it off and do it again. So how I like to check is I take my pinky and I stick it in the top of the wrap. And I should be able to move it around fairly easily, but I should still feel snug and I should feel some pressure in there. For a little extra security, you can take masking tape and just very lightly go around the top, making sure that you don't jack it tight just at the top of the wrap, because that'll mess up that whole beautiful even pressure that you just created. That's how you put on a standing wrap. Okay, so now that we have our beautiful wrap on, we need to take it off. You're going to take it off just like you take off a puller wrap. So you're going to undo your Velcro, and then just unroll the wrap. But as you're rolling it, keep rolling it into a ball in your hand instead of just keeping it long and trying to throw it around. This will keep it neat and tidy, so if your horse decides to spook or something happens, you have it wrapped up in this nice little ball so it won't get tangled in his legs. It's best not to try to re-roll the track wrap while it's still on your horse's leg. That can yank the pressure in weird directions, and it also just takes a long time, so with a more finicky horse like someone here, they might get a little impatient, so it's better to just take it off quickly and then roll it separately. Once you get to the bottom, if you have the track wrap rolled inside here, it's really handy to just then roll it, so you end up with a nice little bundle with your track wrap inside your pillow wrap. This is just a lot easier to throw around and hang up before you have to re-roll and put them away later. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to comment below. Let me know if you guys have any ideas of things you want to learn or content you want to see, and I'll try to make it happen. Be sure to like and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Toni's Tack Tips. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to always ask why. Bye for now.